On the border of South Africa and Zimbabwe, a man prepares for a potentially life-threatening assignment.
Everybody has to do their part to make sure that Zimbabwe's case is heard out there.
For his own safety, his identity must be kept secret. He's asked to be called D. He is a trusted friend of mine, a man who has helped me make this crossing many times.
Is 5 billion the biggest? Oh no, oh you got 25 billion.
50 billion is the biggest.
Okay.
As Zimbabwe slides deeper into anarchy, and with the government and security forces now targeting the media, D has decided that this time it's simply too dangerous for me to travel with him. Instead, he will cross to his country alone, carrying my hidden camera. D is well aware of the dangers of this assignment and of the consequences if he's caught.
Carrying a camera is a risk because they automatically become suspicious. Why is he carrying a camera? Is he a journalist? What is he up to? So everything is risky with this job.
But it's a risk he's prepared to take for the sake of his country.
But information has to go out. And people have to understand, the Zimbabwean government has to understand that it's being watched. Everybody knows what they're doing. In that way, one hopes that, they'll come to their senses.
This is what he is going home to. Today, in one of the capital Harare's main cemeteries, two activists from the opposition movement for democratic change are making their final journey. Godfrey Kazani and Kay Nevwe are given a hero's burial by the MDC. Slain trying to bring change to their country. Party loyalists, between them, they'd been arrested more than 40 times over the years for their political beliefs. The final time they were taken away, it was by men wearing masks. Their badly beaten bodies found 4 days later. In the current climate of retribution, many have stayed away, too frightened to be seen here.
Toti, is that a system? Is that a representation, a dispensation that we can trust?
Since the first round of voting in March, Mugabe's supporters have killed more than 80 people. 200 are missing, more than 3,000 hospitalised, and tens of thousands have fled their homes. Some of the MDC's wounded have been given refuge in this church outside of the capital. This man was one of 4 who were attacked. Their plaster casts the new calling card of the ruling party's thugs.
kuti makavhotera ku-MDC ndo yatairo kwanzi makatambisa mavhoti edu makatengesa nyika.
Julius comes from a small rural village. He survived a 2-day torture session at the hands of local Zanu PF loyalists. First, they tried to burn him alive in his own hut. Then they knocked him unconscious. When he came to, he and 3 others were taken away to be drowned.
Zverima ndandongotoona kuti hapana pandopatopera upenyu hwangu. Saka ndau macho maitotyisa kuti upinde asi pasina zvokuzviita nokuti waitopinda nokuti marohubwe wataitiwa manje ndiye aikonzeresa kuti kungopinda. Nokuti waingoona kuti panapa vanhu vane chinangwa chekutoda kutouraya. Saka takangopinda unongoti hapana china zvokuzviita. Kana kwakutofa kutofa pano.
Julius and his brother survived. His brother-in-law did not. He died from the beating meted out by Zanu PF supporters, and amongst those attackers were members of their own family. Neither he nor his brother can go home. His village has turned on itself.
Yeah, dzava hama dzimwe hama mwagarisana musomufreji isitai kutogara mariseti mavhileji mariseti ayangoti imwe ipapo imwapo muraini mumwe saka unongotoziva kuti apo panenge vamwe vatotosi faratosi.
The blame for most of the political violence is directed at party supporters loyal to Robert Mugabe's Zanu PF party. One man who understands well the strategy at play in Zimbabwe is ruling party defector and former presidential candidate Simba Makoni. The former finance minister was knocked out of the political contest in the first round of voting in March.
I did not win, I am disappointed, but I am gratified that my participation in this election, at the very least, stopped Mugabe winning.
He says right now there is one tactic at play. Robert Mugabe's Zanu PF is attempting to secure victory through brute force and torture.
This is the campaign they are waging right now. This is the campaign they have been waging since the middle of April. Having read the outcome of the March 29 results as against Zanu PF in the House of Assembly, in the Senate, and with the presidential outcome as well, they have decided to force the people to support Mugabe, even though the people yearn for change.
Most affected by the violence are those in rural areas. Out of sight, with few witnesses and no way to get help. Dee is heading to a village in Mshvingo province, where opposition support has traditionally been strong. It's also meant that villages here have been targeted.
Now we're going into Manika Bridge, an area where most MDC people have been victimized. The guy I'm going with here is telling me that there's been a lot of arson, burning down of property, beatings, lootings, and even rape to innocent victims. I'm just going to show you the extent of the violence being meted on the opposition by the ruling party.
So fewer vehicles in rural areas, each one that passes through is noticed. To stay too long is to attract attention.
The driver I'm going with makes sure that he turns around the car so that if we have to escape, it will be easy.
In this village, the men have come together to offer each other protection. Albert, not his real name, is the MDC's ward chairman. But it was his role as an election observer that brought him to the attention of Robert Mugabe's loyalists.
They started to throw stones in my house, so fearing that they will injure my family, I come out and face them. Then they started to beat me using different weapons. They were holding metal axes and logs and my ties, rubber strips. They've made me even braver because all these injuries they've inflicted on me, they've branded me. I am even braver, and I'm going to vote for MDC. And I'm not going to change my mind because they've beaten me.
At a local hospital, Dee finds most patients too scared to speak.
And then these two.
This man, a polling officer, a public servant who was beaten in front of his entire village, was brave enough to talk, but too fearful of retribution to be identified.
Then they started beating me all over my body, all over my head, my backbone, my legs, under my feet. And then I could not even turn because the spear was too heavy in my neck. Yeah, what I want the world to know is it's true that people are being beaten by some people. People are being killed by some people. Yes.
Kerry Kay is the welfare officer of the Zimbabwe's opposition MDC party. Her husband, Ian Kay, a long-time opposition MP, won a seat in the March election. He was taken to jail a fortnight ago. Now she is in hiding. She agrees to speak with Dee as long as it takes place in public and in a car, so she can get away if needed.
It's ludicrous, but I mean, we knew that come the elections before and after that trumped-up charges would be levelled against either or both of us, because this is what's happened for the past 10 years.
This is where her husband is currently being held.
Hey.
It's a rural prison 2 hours drive from Harare. Dee has travelled here with Kerry's son David. His father Ian Kay is due to be released today.
This is the Murewa prison where Ian Kay is being held. We're just waiting for him to go out, to come out. We haven't been allowed inside. Even his son is still sitting outside. Just see how it goes from here.
But bureaucracy takes time, and the paperwork for his release moves slowly. "24 hours after the order is granted, Ian Kay is back in Harare and ready to continue the campaign.
No, it certainly doesn't dampen my spirit, but it does make it a lot more difficult, because most of the MDC leadership has been threatened in some way or another. Some have been incarcerated, some have been abducted, some murdered, a lot of them beaten, and a lot more intimidated, so that they've actually left their areas. So it does make it more difficult, but certainly doesn't dampen the spirit, but I mean it does make it a lot more difficult.
Kerry Kay and Dee are on their way to meet two men whose lives hang in the balance. Both men have third-degree burns to almost 50% of their bodies. In this hospital there is a burns unit, but almost no medication.
There's 2 pots. I brought 2. I said 2 pots on Friday. Okay, so that's.
So one point.
Yeah. So if we could just see them for 1 minute, that would be fun. Thanks.
As MDC welfare officer, Kerry Kay's job is to find what she can. This time, it's Burns cream.
I'm sure one of these pots will last
For some time.
When you see the extent of the burns. And also, when I came here last week, when they lifted up the blankets, they're on a cage, showed me their legs, and you could smell the burnt flesh.
As violence escalates, an old terror tactic has been revived: burning people alive.
How are you feeling? Terrible.
Samazobuda sine. Kusvika rabvuma.
Ndifunga takati munhu kaveni. Ndobva ndazotongomanyira vachida ndobuda. Saka ndati ndichimaira ndobuda manje ndobva ndatasvatsika ndobva ndawa ndadzamba moto ndadzamba paiva nemoto neruoko right side.
Okay. Maiki vakuwigira mushonga naika mushonga kuti muzore ndazoti hapana mushonga panapo.
Hey, are you in pain? Oh, don't worry.
They say armed men wearing riot police uniforms were responsible for this attack. First, they firebombed the rural MDC office in which they were working. Then they began shooting into the building. 2 men are dead, 2 are missing, and it's not known whether these men will survive.
We're going to get you right. We've brought some more mashunga for you, hey? Okay. I've given it to the sister, and I've just brought it back.
They fear that even here, in hospital, their attackers may come back to get them. Dee is asked by this patient to be shown his injuries. He takes out the camera with a viewing screen and films as this man sees for the first time how badly burnt he is.
Mukati?
When I wrote the angels of mercy, I was not executing such a thing.
Okay.
For Kerry Kay and Dee, coming face to face with this violence exacts an emotional toll.
I don't know, I can't. The suffering is. You can't describe it.
I can see now how serious it is right now. You're crying. I mean, it's really bad.
I cried when I came here the other day, and I mean, it just. How do you comfort somebody who's 50% of his body's got 3rd-degree burns just because he voted for the party of his choice and for the president of his choice?